FREENBECKY, a bond built on trust, not attention. In an era defined by visibility, where relationships are measured by likes, reposts, and public validation, genuine connection has become rare. Attention is no longer something that simply happens. It is something chased, curated, and performed. Yet, amid this constant noise, two people emerged whose bond felt strangely untouched by the hunger to be seen. Freen and Becky. Their connection did not announce itself with spectacle. It did not arrive loudly or demand recognition. Instead, it unfolded quietly, almost patiently, as though it trusted time more than exposure. And that is precisely why it feels real. The difference between being seen and being known. Attention wants witnesses. Trust wants understanding. From the beginning, Freen and Becky seemed more interested in knowing each other than being known by the world. Their interactions carried a softness that doesn't come from rehearsed closeness. It comes from familiarity. The kind that grows when two people have learned each other's silences as well as their laughter. They weren't trying to be impressive. They weren't trying to perform intimacy. They were simply present. That presence, steady, unforced, and consistent, is what people responded to even before they could explain why. Trust is built in the unrecorded moments. Most of what builds a bond happens where no one is watching. Trust forms when someone listens without interrupting. When they remember what matters. When they show up without being asked. Though the public only sees fragments, fans sensed that Freen and Becky shared something grounded in those unseen moments. Their comfort with each other didn't fluctuate with attention. It remained constant, whether the room was full or quiet. That constancy told a story louder than any public declaration ever could. They never rushed to define what didn't need explaining. One of the most telling things about Freen and Becky is how comfortable they are with not defining their connection. In a culture that demands labels, they chose patience. They didn't rush to name what they had. They didn't correct every assumption. They didn't use clarity as currency. That choice takes trust. Trust in each other. And trust that what is real does not disappear simply because it remains unnamed. For many people watching, that restraint felt deeply respectful. It allowed the bond to breathe without being trapped by expectations. Consistency over performance. Attention-driven relationships spike and fade. Trust-based bonds remain steady. FREENBECKY has always felt consistent. Not perfect. Not dramatic. Not exaggerated. Just there. The way they interact hasn't changed drastically over time. Their care hasn't intensified for cameras or dimmed when interest shifted. That stability signals something important. The connection exists for them, not for applause. And people trust what doesn't change to please them. Mutual care without ownership. One of the most powerful aspects of Freen and Becky's bond is the absence of possession. Care does not become control. Closeness does not become dependence. Support does not become obligation. They stand beside each other, not over each other. Whether guiding through crowds, offering reassurance in overwhelming moments, or simply staying close in silence, their actions reflect awareness rather than entitlement. That kind of mutual respect is rare, and immediately felt. Why this bond feels safe to watch. Many fans describe FREENBECKY as comforting. That's not accidental. Trust-based connections don't manipulate emotions. They don't create anxiety. They don't demand constant engagement. Instead, they offer calm. People don't feel pressured to decode every look or fear sudden disappointment. There is no sense of being misled or emotionally played. What fans experience instead is reassurance. The sense that whatever this bond is, it is handled with care. And care creates safety. Silence as a form of protection. Not everything needs to be shared to be real. Freen and Becky's willingness to remain quiet, especially when curiosity peaks, is not avoidance. It is protection. They protect their emotional space, each other's boundaries, and the integrity of what they share. Silence becomes a boundary, not a mystery. And people respect boundaries that are held consistently. Trust allows individual growth. One of the strongest indicators of trust is allowing someone to grow without fear of being left behind. Freen and Becky encourage each other's independence. They celebrate each other's achievements. They do not compete for attention or center themselves in the other's success. Their bond does not shrink when one steps forward. It expands. That dynamic tells a deeper story, one of security rather than dependency. Why people believe in them. People don't believe in Freen and Becky because of rumors. They believe because of patterns. Patterns of care. Patterns of respect. Patterns of consistency. Patterns of restraint. Trust is not built in a single moment. It's built over time. And over time, FREENBECKY has shown the same values again and again. A quiet lesson in modern connection. Without intending to, Freen and Becky have modeled a different way of being close in public. They've shown that intimacy doesn't require explanation. Privacy doesn't mean secrecy. A love doesn't need to be loud to be deep. In doing so, they've offered something rare. An example of connection that feels human rather than performative. Conclusion. Why this bond endures. Tension is temporary. Noise moves on. Trends fade. But trust stays. FREENBECKY endures not because it demands belief, but because it earns it, through patience, consistency, and care. Their bond doesn't ask to be watched. Simply exists. And sometimes, the strongest connections are the ones that don't need the world to understand them because they already understand each other.